Pepsi became the 10th largest navy in the world for a time.
That's incredible.
And
if you had made this like multiple choice,
yes.
and you had left my dumb answer in there, if it was like George Washington, McDonald's, and Pepsi, I would have been like, no, he's dead, but probably George Washington, right? This episode of the Sillycast is brought to you by this incredibly annoying smoke detector that won't stop beeping and will probably be heard throughout the episode unless I figure out a way to edit it out. So there is that. Theme song. Welcome to another episode of the Sillycast, the only podcast on the internet. My name is Tomahawk and I am your host. And joining me today is Grayson.
Hello, Tomahawk.
Hi, Grayson. How are you?
I'm dandy. Just dandy.
You seem dandy. If someone were to ask me to describe what I'm seeing right now, dandy would be the word. That would be the word I would use.
Thank you. I take comfort in carefully organizing and reorganizing my books again and again because it's what I can control in life.
I really like the setup that you have with the books behind you, which you can see because, hey, if you're listening to this in the normal places like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, anything like that, I'm going to start trying to make video versions of this podcast so you can see my dumb face in all of them. Because apparently people want that. People have been telling me they want that. So I must oblige to the whims of the internet. So yeah, check that out on my YouTube channel. It is Tomahawk Presents. And Grayson is here because her presence was suggested. It was asked to be back by a person. That person's name is Kristen Phillips.
Thanks, Kristen.
A former friend of ours from Appalachian State University. Was that too much information given out about you and your personal life? No, that's totally fine. I carved a pumpkin with Kristen over Zoom last week. I wasn't invited.
I'm sorry. I didn't know you'd be interested in carving a pumpkin.
Okay, no exaggeration. All of last month, I was trying to get somebody to carve a pumpkin with me. The whole month. And you know what didn't happen at all, ever? Me carving a pumpkin. I kept getting blown off. And then by the time that it reached the end of the month, I was actually invited to a small Halloween get together with friends, COVID safe. It was like 8 people there, something like that. And I was told we were going to be carving pumpkins. Mm-hmm. There were no pumpkins left in the city.
You could have carved a turnip. That's what they used to do.
I wanted to carve a pumpkin.
Did
you not hear?
I'm sorry.
I feel like I made myself clear.
Pumpkin.
Yes, pumpkin. Wait, is that like my nickname or the way you said it? You were like pumpkin.
Pumpkin. No. I apologize that I did not even think to consider reaching out to you to carve a pumpkin. I will write that next year. I'm
also I'm more mad at her for getting married and changing her last name. This is the second time we've recorded this whole intro bit. Yeah. So, Grayson, you are a historian, obviously, by the books that are behind you. Only historians have that many books.
Only historians have books. Normal people don't have books.
Yeah. Earlier, when you got up, I saw that there was a book on the shelf that just said chicken on the side of it.
Chicken. It's a great little book. It's about the hostile takeover of the chicken industry in North Carolina.
Hey, North Carolina. I've heard of that place.
I know of that.
Yeah. I don't know where, though. I don't know where I heard of it.
If you asked me to find it on a map, I couldn't tell you.
No, I don't even know what a map is.
Ooh.
It could tell me, what is a map?
Well, you see, it's a picture.
Cool. I love that. I'm just going to assume all pictures are maps from here on. Okay, so this is the second time you've been on the show. Thank you so much for coming back.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, if you just wanted to start a podcast and just have it be every day, I'd be like, great, an excuse to talk to Grayson every day.
It's going a little far. I'm not that exciting.
I know. On the first episode that you were on, I asked you to come up with some things from history that may or may not be true. And I have to guess after hearing the whole story whether or not it actually happened. And there was some miscommunication.
I goofed.
And I think we both goofed. I'm not going to put all that on you. I probably wasn't very clear about it. I realized in the middle of the show there was not enough room to play this game because of this miscommunication. So you have come on this episode to redeem yourself. Is that what I'm understanding?
Indeed, I have.
Redeem me also.
I have come much better prepared this time.
Awesome. I love it. Don't get me wrong. Your first episode, great. I love it. I think it's great.
Super fun.
But I have a real good feeling about this one.
Like, fingers crossed, man. The pressure's on and the hands are shaking again. So let's get to it.
Okay. Here we go. I'm going to take some podcast fuel in. Go ahead. Let's start.
Okay. Yes. Okay. I have to keep my notes on my phone because there's so many fun, dumb history facts bouncing around in my head. I have to keep track of them. So to start us off, we'll focus on something that I study a little bit more. So I study lots of different things in history because indeed there are, in fact, lots of different parts of history.
Really?
So fascinating, isn't it?
I thought it was all just history and then now.
Isn't that wild how that works out?
My mind is wow.
I'd like to talk a little bit about 18th century women for a moment.
Me too.
Indeed. Yeah, so it's not as exciting though. I would like to talk about the leading cause of death amongst 18th century women.
Okay.
And this is something that I'm very mindful of, not because I am a reincarnated 18th century woman.
Of course not. You're just that old. You need to take care of yourself, moisturize, and you could live to be how old, Grayson? How old are you based on what you just said?
You do not ask a lady her age.
I mean, at some point you just start bragging about it.
I mean, at this point, I guess it's like 368.
Wow.
It's very impressive.
That's one off from being a pretty nice number.
Man, next year, there's much to look forward to.
We'll have you on for another episode.
Thank you.
My can will not shut up.
But no, it's very important to me because one of my first big jobs was working at a living history site. So that means, we're in the 18th century clothing, doing 18th century stuff, be it, firing off muzzle, I can't even think of the word because my mind is so befuddled. Anyway, okay. I used to dress up in old clothing and do old timey things. So
sounds nice.
The leading cause of death for women in the 18th century was that their clothes would catch fire because they were cooking. It's shocking, I know.
It sounds like it's burning.
Indeed, smoldering is the better word for it.
Sure. Yes.
So women in the 18th century, of course, fashions changed throughout the year. Wearing what was worn in the 2000s probably ain't going to fly right now. But way back in the 18th century, women wore long skirts called petticoats. And a lot of their cooking, because indeed they did not have electricity, believe it or not. It was done over the hearth, over the fire. So they would often have to bend down and be walking around these open fires with open coals. And it was horrific because their skirts were so long. If a breeze blew by, their skirts would catch fire and they were unable to remove themselves from the fire. And that is unfortunately the leading cause of death for women back in the 18th century.
Interesting.
So do tell me, is that correct or not?
I'm gonna say no. Mm-hmm. My guess, my rationale behind it is no one ever reached the age to learn how to cook or dress themselves because everybody died so young. That's my theory. So
all of the portraits of George Washington we have is actually just 4 toddlers stacked on top of each other. Not what I'm getting from this.
That's kind of what I'm getting at. Sure, yeah. Okay. I don't know how it was painted. I don't know how many toddlers that was.
Very skilled finger painters.
Yeah. Okay. Let's hear it. Do I get a point or do I get no points?
You do get a point. The leading cause of death for women in the 18th century was disease.
Hooray.
Yeah, there are a few accounts of women's skirts catching fire, and often, you know, those stories were so terrible and terrifying that like they got sensationalized. But no. If you're working over a fire all day, you're going to tuck your skirts up. You're going to have natural fiber. Tuck your skirts up.
I will.
Tuck them into your apron.
I do.
Good. Wear wool, wear cotton. It's going to smolder a little bit, but it's not going to instantly catch on fire. You're not going to go up in flames like our modern day polyesters and things like that. That's another thing. But no, women did not often catch fire in the 18th century. That's ridiculous.
It sounded like you had a lot of venom for polyester.
I don't know why polyester in particular. But yeah, polyester, man. It's ridiculous.
The polyester man. Sounds like a horror movie. He's coming. He's also very flammable.
I would like to suggest that's a future podcast for you.
It could very well be.
Polyester man.
We just missed out on a horror movie like theme for it. So I may have to wait a whole year to bring a horror movie called Polyester Man to life. Otherwise, I feel like it needs to be like a superhero movie. And I don't like superhero movies.
Yeah, you? Although you know what? You seem like the type of person who would absolutely despise superhero movies.
That is exactly true. Mm-hmm. You know what I should do? Yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to spill my drink on the floor. That's what I'm going to do. I did it. I felt like I needed something else in the background.
I can't tell. There's two scenarios here. She is either looking at the back of your head to murder you, or she is staring directly into my soul, and I'm terrified of both.
It's the first thing, probably.
I'm just gonna...
I mean, look, if I die, it's fine. I still have so many episodes of this podcast backed up. You won't even miss me. You can just listen to episodes of this podcast on repeat. It's like I'm not even gone. Do you watch Black Mirror at all?
I have, yeah.
You know the episode with Haley Atwell where they like take her dead husband's like social media presence and put it into a body that looks like him, like a robot body. And they're like, is this him now? Sound familiar?
No, I hate it.
It's supposed to be like a way for you to sort of like grieve over your loved ones because it's like you could talk to them or whatever. And it gets weird because, you know, Black Mirror. I was watching that episode with someone and I was like, if they were to do the same thing with me, if they were just going to compile all of my social media posts, this robot Tomahawk would just walk around and going, hey, check out the latest episode of my podcast. It's very silly. crap like that.
That could be that's nice and fun though.
If you say so.
I can't stop. She's looking directly into the camera.
I'm gonna throw something at her then. Okay.
Oh no.
Lean over this way a little.
It's fine. We're good.
Everything's fine. Okay, on to round 2.
Okay, let me pull. I might have just goofed.
Hey, no worries.
Okay, we're good. We're still voice recording, so we're good. Whew.
Oh my
Sweat. Pausing for that. Okay. This next one is a little wild.
Ooh, I love wild.
And there are so many interesting aspects to this next story. I'd like to tell you a little bit about the American Olympic race at the 1904 World's Fair.
Ooh, that sounds adorable.
Doesn't it though?
Yes. Is that the first Olympics? Like modern Olympics?
I don't think so.
Okay. I can't remember when like that was because there was like a break, right?
At some point. Yeah, that sounds right. At some point there was a break and then they started again.
Yeah, like it became like a modern thing.
Yeah, wild. Look.
That's a different wild thing. I'm sorry to distract you. I just thought.
No, I'm sorry. I don't have all of your answers. I am, in fact, not an encyclopedia. Thank God. But I have.
What kind of book are you?
I have fun little tidbits about a lot of dumb things. Okay. Right now, I have a lot of agricultural things, agricultural history in my head.
Is there any agriculture in this Olympic story? Is that a category in the early Olympics? Like, who can grow corn the best?
Who can raise a very long field of wheat? There did used to be events. It's a little bit more modern, but it's very fun events that put modern machinery against like ancient or traditional machines. Yeah. So like you have 2 small wheat plots and you have a guy with a weed whacker going against a guy with a scythe and seeing who can clear the wheat fields quicker. It's the scythe. It's a lot faster.
Interesting.
Yes.
That just sounds like a random YouTube video that would pop up at like 3 a.m. when you're already having trouble sleeping.
How do you think I found it?
I'm just taking a guess.
Swinging with the scythe. Let's go.
Most recent video of that for me was a simulation of like 10,000 chickens, like your book, fighting 100 T-Rexes, something like that. I'm getting the numbers mixed up, but it's something like that. If you Google T-Rex versus chickens, I'm sure the simulation will come up. And the whole video was well over half an hour long, and I sat through the entire thing.
I have a couple of questions before we move forward.
Sure.
Are they normal sized chickens?
Yes.
Are they actual big sized T-Rexes?
Yes. It's a computer simulation. So
fascinating.
Yes. It's like, how many chickens would it take for a T-Rex to get overwhelmed?
Is the answer 10,000?
I'm not going to spoil it here. You can go check out that video.
I gotta wait for.
I'll tell you off mic. How's that?
Okay, I appreciate.
Tell me about the Olympics. I'm
sorry. This isn't like the National Olympics. This is just like a little American Olympic event thing. Okay. So World's Fair, the idea is like new technology, so fun. Let's explore what America has to offer. But it's very imperialistic, and there's a lot of issues with the World Fair. It's very racist.
Isn't everything?
Yes.
Yeah. All
especially the World's Fairs. So anyway, I'm just going to give you a little quick overview about this race here, because the World's Fair, this World's Fair in particular, was to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the Louisiana Purchase, which was very exciting. We got Louisiana for a tiny, tiny little piece of money. But anyway, so the idea is we're going to have these great American sportsmen. They're going to show the best of American sportsmanship because they're strong men. So it's about I know. I know.
I went to flex, but then I made a sound like I walked into my room and realized my dog pooped on the floor.
I'm sorry.
Oh, please go ahead.
So it's a 25-mile course. It's like through the city. They have to go up 7 hills. They got to go like across railway tracks, and they're dodging trolleys and pedestrians. But it's 25 miles, and it's all of these very strong men. And during this time, there was an idea that you shouldn't drink water when you're exercising. You're stronger when you're dehydrated. Mm-hmm. So there were only 2 places to get water on this entire 26-mile trek. But they were very thoughtful. How kind of them. They had physicians that would travel alongside all of the runners. And they would be kicking up all of this dust as they're going through. So you're running 26 miles and you're just inhaling lungfuls of dust while you're dodging trolleys and running up hills, right? Mm-hmm. Excellent. So, first of all, that just sets the scene. But how people come to cross this line is what really makes this spectacular. Because in first place, the man to cross the finish line was in the car almost the entire way, and hopped out right before the finish line and then crossed it, and everyone booed at him and they hated him because he cheated. The second individual who came in second almost died because he ate what was then known to be rat poisoning for a performance. So he could be super strong, and it would like make him super strong for his running. And then it took about 5 people to drag him across the finish line on a stretcher, and then they couldn't leave for an hour because he was so sick. And then
they drag a stretcher?
They carried a stretcher.
Okay. There's a big difference between dragging a man and carrying him on a stretcher.
They carried him across the finish line on a stretcher because he ate rat poison, because they thought it would make him nice and big and strong. Mm-hmm. It did not, in fact, do that. And then the fourth person to cross the finish line did so in a cut-off pantsuit.
Okay.
So tell me, Tomahawk, was that real or was that fake?
This is real.
You are correct.
Yes.
It is too ridiculous to be made up.
I don't think you're that creative, quite frankly.
Honestly, no, I am not.
No offense.
No, you're dead spot on with that.
It felt too absurd for you to... Too many absurd things layered on top of each other for me to quite buy it. And I feel like I've heard this before.
Really?
I feel like I think this is the first Olympic event, like modern one. I listened to something this year about this event, I think. Oh. I think I might be wrong. Also, I believe in the same thing, in the same podcast I was listening to, they told me there used to be a Olympic medal for painting.
Fascinating.
And that's absurd.
I mean, it's very, the classical idea of like Greek and Romans painting. But I mean, would I rather watch someone do curling or painting? I'd rather watch the curling.
I don't know if I care for either, personally.
I mean, if I had to pick. I can watch Bob Ross on my own all I want. But like,
what if it's Bob Ross painting?
Well, yes. Is
it the same person painting who was doing the curling?
Painting while curling.
Now you have my attention.
Painting. Someone is shoving your easel down the ice rink and you have to run and keep up to keep painting.
Okay. I would watch this Olympic event.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to watch any Olympic event ever. I've never cared for the Olympics. I don't understand why it's a thing.
Yeah.
There's
something I watch on the Olympics. But I don't remember. It must not be very impressive if I can't
guess
even
not.
remember it. Sports. Sports ball.
Sports. Do I look like the type of guy that's into sports?
Okay. Are you prepared for the next one?
I have never been more prepared in my life to say no.
Well,
now I'm prepared. I'm prepared now.
I was going to say, if that's the case, I can go. I can read my book on chickens and call it a day.
Ooh, that'd be like having Audible. Did you know that Audible has every book you could think of, even books that don't exist? Go ahead. Think of a book. Are you thinking of one? They have it. They have that book. And if you go to Audible using the promo code, you can get a free month's worth of Audible. That includes 1 free audiobook as well as 2 free Audible originals. One more time, go to Audible and use the promo code and enjoy Audible today. Let's go back.
That was a really, really good plug there.
I've done this before, I think. The whole thing felt very familiar. Sometimes the spirit of just demonstrating that I can do sponsorship takes over. Sponsor me, please. I would love to make money off of this. All right, round 3. Let's go.
Okay.
Let's jump in.
You may have heard this before. I hope you haven't. But it just tickles me. I find it quite humorous.
Okay.
I would like to tell you a little bit about the 10th largest navy in the 1980s.
Okay.
Are you prepared?
I feel prepared. Should I not be?
No.
I'm just listening to a story, right?
Some of these are wild.
Am I joining the Navy?
Get your sea legs. Let's go.
Okay.
That's the joke. So I'm not going in the ocean.
Regular legs. Put my sea legs on. Okay.
The ocean is scary. We're not going in the ocean.
All right.
It may surprise you who the 10th largest navy in the 1980s was.
George Washington.
We already established that George Washington is a bunch of toddlers and they died very young.
Hold on. Look, if the toddlers die at different times, you can replace the toddlers.
Infinite George.
Granted, that sort of raises the question of that philosophical thing of if you replace a ship piece by piece, when does it stop being the same ship? But if you ignore that, it's just George Washington continually being toddlers into the modern day.
I have never heard the ship thing and being replaced by ship pieces, so that is new. Thank you.
Oh,
again,
it's definitely not new, but okay.
It is new to me.
Understandable.
I am learning so many fun things here. Thank you for this.
I'm gonna tell you a fun thing, Grayson.
Yes.
You're fun. You're the fun thing.
Fun thing?
You're the fun
thing. I've never been called
a
fun.
Thing?
I was gonna say called fun, but okay.
I had assumed that you've never been called fun. Okay, just go on.
So, in prior to the 1980s,
yes,
the Soviet Union had previously been shut down for capitalistic ventures, right? But this company comes through, and there's a couple of things that you really could not get in the Soviet Union. One of those was denim products. High demand for denim products, of all things. Another thing, McDonald's. Another thing, though, was Pepsi products.
Okay, I feel like those things isn't like the other, but all right.
There was a very high demand for Pepsi products, right?
Okay.
So in the 1950s, 1960s, Pepsi comes in and they're going to be like the first capitalistic thing that's going to be in the Soviet Union. And because people want that sweet, sweet Pepsi.
Did you know that Pepsi is Spanish for Pep Yes?
Again,
I named a song After that, I made it for a class, and no one's really heard it since. Continue.
I'm still pondering the peps. Yes, I took 6 years of Latin, which have been so very helpful to me.
You said that it was helpful, but your face made it look like it was really helpful.
You know what? I can think of, if you give me a word, I could maybe tell you, oh, that sounds a little bit like this Latin word.
Braggadocious.
I got no answer. You see how well it did me?
All right, let's just go back to the thing.
Know.
All right,
anyway.
Pepsi, capitalist.
Pepsi.
Soviet Union.
They want the Pepsi. But the thing is, Soviet rubles are basically nothing to the international market, right?
Yes.
So
I knew this.
Well, let me tell you, Soviet rubles were essentially useless to the international market.
I just said I knew this.
Your listeners may not have known.
Oh,
that.
Okay, yes. This is for you, dear listeners. One more time. Really?
Soviet rubles. They're not good
Say it like they're stupid.
Market.
I don't think you're stupid. Grayson does. Leave angry comments at her.
I gotta go. I gotta leave.
No, we gotta finish the game.
So anyway, first of all, they trade vodka for Pepsi because that is worth something. In fact, people outside of Russia do, in fact, enjoy vodka from time to time. But then they decided, you know what, PepsiCo, what I'm going to do for you from your pal, the Soviet Union, I'm going to give you 17 submarines and a frigate and a battleship. And for that, I will get $3 billion worth of Pepsi. And because of that interaction, Pepsi became the 10th largest navy in the world for a time.
That's incredible. And if you had made this like multiple choice, yes, and you had left my dumb answer in there, if it was like George Washington, McDonald's, and Pepsi, I would have been like, I know he's dead, but probably George Washington, right? Maybe there's like some small country named Washington, but okay, fine. Pepsi has.
The thing is,
a navy.
The CEO of PepsiCo came to the United States, sat down and said, I'm dismantling the Soviet Union faster than you are. And he's not wrong. So
did they changed their logo to a navy blue. Oh, heavens me, colors.
So tell me, Tomahawk.
Yeah.
I'm going to pull a fast one here on you real quick.
Okay.
They were the 6th largest navy in the world. Not the 10th.
Do I guess now?
No, I thought you said yes. The yes was the answer.
I don't remember saying yes.
You Dear listener, please rewind this. Listen to him. He says yes. So tell me, Tomahawk.
Yeah. I mean, it was probably like you said, you went, all right, now Tomahawk. And I was like, yes, as in proceed. I didn't realize I was answering your question. But you know what? That's another point for me.
You know what?
Fine.
No. I am destined to lose here. And I understand that because this is your podcast and I want you to have nice things.
That's very kind of you.
But
you said it in a very condescending manner, but it's still very kind.
Tomahawk. I want the best for you. Sweet Tomahawk.
That was too many tomahawks. Especially a sweet tomahawk. Oh, get that out of here.
It is unkind to kill your guests as they are on screen. Please do not make me choke upon my Pepsi product.
I would never force you to choke upon it. Only at your discretion.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, so really though, Pepsi at one point did have the 6th largest navy in the world, and it was all basically done away with for scrap.
Oh, that's sad. Scrap seed.
Just think
That's
though. I would
scrap Pepsi. It feels like there's something there.
no, keep working it out. Come on.
I'll try and have something by the end of the episode.
Okay.
I won't, and I will forget that I said this, but I'll try.
It's a lot of multitasking there.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, moving on.
Yes, moving. Would you like to explain what that is?
I would be delighted to. First of all, it is a hiccup. It is not a sneeze. It is a tiny little mouse squeak of a hiccup, and there's just one. It's been happening for years. I don't think there's anything wrong with me.
All of the time.
This is
every interaction I've had with Grayson, that has happened.
It used to be I shared an office with a bunch of other grad students, and all of our offices were interspersed with our professors' offices. But I would hiccup, and then 4 offices down the hallway, I would hear someone poke their head out and go, "Heep!" So it's like our own fun little system of like the beacons of Gondor are lit, except it's just a bunch of squeaking noises going down the hallway.
Is the Gondor thing a historical event? Is that what's leading us into our next thing?
No.
That was just a really clever segue, though.
It could have been such a good segue. Lord of the Brings, the next topic. Let's go. Let's talk about the next one. So this next one, let's talk a little bit about a bunch of women.
Just a little bit.
We
can't talk about women too much.
This bunch of women are known as the Radium Girls. And they
sounds like a really good band name.
Doesn't it though?
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
I think so.
Could add it to the list for when you make
I'm going to add it to this fake phone.
Absolutely. How many phones do you have?
Too many.
Okay.
Just for no editing. This is the real phone.
Oh. There's a lot happening. There's been a lot happening here.
I know. This is a really packed episode.
There's a lot of excitement. So
imagine watching this.
I'm so sorry.
Me too.
There's a lot going on. So these women were first of all instrumental in our modern
band.
Yeah, these women. They were. Oh my God, they were instrumental. Perfect. I'm telling you, there's been a lot happening. Got that mid-show fluster. They're instrumental in helping create some of our modern labor laws today. So this bunch of ladies from the early 19-teens to the 1920s were brought in by watchmaking factories to paint watch faces because it was nice and crafty and everybody wanted very pretty watches because fashion. So what they would do is they would take these teeny tiny brushes and paint on the watch faces with teeny tiny paintbrushes. They would paint on these faces with radium-based paint. I'm sorry, I feel a hiccup. At some point, it is going to happen. It's going to happen, and I apologize.
Hey, I don't care. I think it's hilarious.
It's
like, I thought it was really funny back in school when that would happen, and someone would be like, "Bless you," and you would go, "It's a hiccup, not a sneeze."
It happens so frequently.
I don't. You should just steer into the skid of it being a sneeze.
But the thing is, I don't want to take people's blessings if they're not genuine. That's the thing.
They're giving it genuinely.
But that's not the reason I need the blessing.
Look, they're not saying God bless your sneeze. They're saying God bless you. Because clearly you need help, given the sound that you just let out.
Given the sound that has come out of your body.
Yes.
You are in need of celestial help.
Like, isn't it weird that that's the only sound that has a response to it? people don't say bless you to farts.
I was going to say a cough, but that works too.
I feel like fart is funnier.
That's
Farts
fair.
are funny. If I've learned anything from the Despicable Me franchise, farts are funny. Let's learn more about the Radium Girls.
The Radium Girls. So they would, prior to painting all of these watch faces, there was lots of literature that came out that said, hey, radium paint ain't good for you. Make you real sick. Very toxic. Gross. These factory owners know, oh, hey, this paint ain't good for you. We'll make you real sick. But they did not tell these women that are painting the watch faces, because why tell your workers things that they need to know about their own health? Ridiculous.
Get out of here.
So what they would, with these teeny tiny paintbrushes, because the watch faces are relatively small, they take these teeny tiny paintbrushes and dip them in the teeny tiny radium paint, which glows in the dark, and they would paint very carefully on the watch faces. But the thing is, you have to sharpen or kind of straighten out the bristles of the brush. And the factory manufacturers are like, here's what you got to do. You got to lick the brush to make it straight again. So it's like, you know, when I'm trying to think, like a paintbrush, sometimes you like lick the paintbrush, or like you lick a pen and like make it work harder.
You do what now?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not an artist. I don't have the patience for art. Some people do that.
Okay, sure.
Look, you lick the brush.
I don't think I've ever felt the urge to lick a paintbrush.
I mean, I haven't either. Okay.
Okay. If you say so.
I think I understand my urge to not lick a paintbrush, but that is just me. But it's like when no, it's not like that. Never mind. Okay. Anyway,
what is it not like? Let's have a conversation of things it's not like. It's not like when you're walking your dog and then you see another dog in the park, but it's not on a leash, and you're like, how'd this dog get here? Is this a stray dog? It's not like that.
It's not like that. You're absolutely correct. It's not like when you sit down to play the cello and your oboist in the symphony is flat. It's not like that either.
Like a flat person? Like Harley?
It's Harley, and she's playing the oboe. She's a very talented lady.
Okay, let's
anyway,
Radium Girls, or shall I say the anti-Radium Girls, because that's what it sounds like they're more like.
So the foremen and the people that are in charge of these ladies are saying, you have to lick the brushes, because if you dip them in water, it wastes all the paint. We're not about paint waste here. You got to lick them. Just hear me out. So
I'm listening.
All of these women, they're sticking their little paintbrushes in their mouths so they can straighten the bristles, and then they're painting. And now, fun thing about radium paint, it glows in the dark. That's so fun. So these women were painting their nails with the paint. They were painting their faces, doing fun little doodles with this glow in the dark. It's like when you break those fun little glow sticks and it gets all over your hands, and you just like have a rager because your hands are now neon pink. It's a little bit like that.
Sure, yeah.
So it turns out, though, pretty soon, all of these women, they're getting very anemic. Their bones are shattering. Their jaws start rotting, for lack of a better term. I know this is a fun silly show, but it's radium listeners. Radium poisoning is a very serious thing. Be careful around radioactive paints. So anyway, they all get very sick. 5 women end up suing the company, saying, you purposely gave us instructions that harmed us, knowing that it would harm us. So all of this is coming out, and all of these watchmaking people and manufacturers are saying, oh, don't listen to these women. They don't have radium poisoning. They have syphilis. So, of course, these are women of ill repute. So anyway, they dragged them through the mud. It turns out that they in fact did have radium poisoning because they were ingesting it in their mouths when they were licking their paintbrushes. And that helped change our modern labor laws. Individuals could now sue corporations for labor abuse, and it increased a lot of industrial safety standards. So unfortunately, due to a lot of pain and suffering, we now have better labor laws. Thank you, women of the 1920s who painted watches.
Okay.
So
do I guess now?
You already know the answer. I'm just having fun telling stories.
Of course the answer is no. Obviously, but I'm gonna say yes just for the gag.
Indeed. It's a fun nifty book. Medium Girls. A book.
Book scared me. I don't like it. That's why I do podcasting.
You know what? Words are frightening sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, it is true. And it is a very sad story when you actually look into all the details. But
it's a very silly story for this podcast.
I have to have one in here that's like, labor sucked in America. Labor still kind of sucked.
No, I think that might be the funniest one. Like the way that you were describing them, like painting in like neon glow in the dark paint. I was imagining a 1920s rave.
Perfect.
What would that look like? Bad, probably.
I'm thinking,
and then you follow that up with, their jaws started like rotting off.
I couldn't think of anything better. It was true.
Like it's good. I love it. Look, comedy is tragedy plus time plus me plus
math?
you.
No math.
Okay.
No math.
No math. There's no math in history. There's no math on the internet.
Time is but a measure of nothing at all. So what is math but nothing?
Seinfeld is a show about math then, right?
Gross.
About time? What is Seinfeld about? Okay, let's move on to the next thing. Is there did I win?
Undoubtedly you won. You have solved my history riddle. Congratulations.
Yay.
I will mail you a sticker.
Don't do that.
Fine. Don't
just give it to me in person once this whole thing is over.
I will do that. There we go. Told you.
I knew it was coming.
Apologies. We're good. I had a professor stop me in the middle of class one time and I hiccuped and he just slowly turns around and looks at me and goes, "Is there a mouse in the room?" No. Thank you, though, for pointing that out to every single individual in this classroom. I appreciate that, Professor.
And everybody stood up, applauded, and everyone was crying. Tears of joy, just of pure laughter, right?
They gave him a trophy. It was the best joke anyone had ever told in the history of ever.
I can't believe I missed this. Tell me. This is an honest, sincere question.
Okay.
Does this professor have a podcast?
I would not doubt it.
Do you think he'd be willing to guest on this podcast? It's probably too good. Probably too good of content.
I would not wish that upon you. How about that? You or your listeners. A wild little man. Man, he was a character. The stories I tell out of all of my classes from many years ago in college, his are the stories I tell the most because he was such a bizarre little man.
Huh. How little was this little man? You've described him as a little man quite a few times now.
Is
he short?
He was short.
He was
short. He reminded me just vaguely of, wait, I need this to be near me. Kind of like a squirrel. Which is why I equate him to little. But he was also tiny in stature.
Was he tinier than you?
No.
Okay.
But I am also... That takes a little bit of work. he was a good grown man, but he had this sporadic nature and kind of like a manic glint in his eye that just like made him seem very small and very twitchy.
I'm imagining just Scrat from Ice Age wearing a suit.
Oh, that's perfect though. That's and yes, just like a little bit more of a manic glint in the eye though, and that's spot on.
He looks pretty manic, but okay, man. Is that? Wish I had a better note to end on, but I think that's all I got. Well, let's see. What was that thing I said I was going to try and come back to at the end? I remember Scrap and Pepsi.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You already said Scrapsy, right? That's all.
If I had the opportunity to scrap the Navy, I would feel so much pep. And then in Spanish, I would shout yes. That's all I got.
Wrap it up.
We did it.
Up. That's as good as it's gonna get.
That's a good joke.
That's a victory lap joke. That is a American Olympic 26-mile run joke right there.
We did it. A+. Thank you so much, Grayson, for coming on to the Sillycast.
Thank you for having me.
So glad to have you. Is there anything that you would like to plug? It can be anything that exists, or maybe something that doesn't exist. Let's hear what you want us to know about. And I'm talking because it looks like you're thinking. I don't want to edit out a pause.
No, I appreciate that. First of all, I would like to plug the herb rosemary. Good for everything. It smells nice.
I've also heard that rosemary has a baby. Stay away from it. Proceed. Is there something else you have?
No.
Okay.
Not quite. There's been a lot of very interesting and meaningful things that I've been reflecting upon during this podcast. So it's all bouncing around in my mind right now. I can't quite think of anything else, but thank you.
Hey, no worries. Understandable. Again, thank you so much for coming on. And thank you, dear listener, for checking out this episode of the Sillycast. I appreciate it. We're a pretty small production at the moment, but I'm working and I'm trying to make this good, and hopefully you find this enjoyable. If you would like to find probably a slightly different extended version of this in audio form, you can check it out on any of the podcast things, Apple Podcast, Stitcher, Spotify, even all of that. Be sure to check out all the other stuff, social media and whatnot. I try to have that in the description of everything. You can follow me on Instagram. I am at Tomahawk Eastridge. I am on Twitter at the Sillycast. And if you're not watching this on the YouTube channel, you can check out my YouTube channel. And if you are watching this on the YouTube channel, check out some other crap from my YouTube channel. Tomahawk Presents. Got a lot of real fun stuff coming up. We're going to be starting a new series soon where we do like pop culture debates. And that's going to be me and my good buddy Stu. He's been on a few episodes of the Sillycast so far. We're going to do at time of recording. We haven't actually recorded anything for that yet, but I'm pretty confident that's going to happen. And the first thing we're going to do, it might be a practice episode, so I don't know if it's actually going to get released, but it's just us. It's just me, Grayson, you, the listener. It's just us. So, don't tell anybody about this, but the first one's about what is the best Batman gadget. Like if you just had Adam West and his like weird silky bat suit, and you had to give him one piece of tech from the other like movies or whatever, what do you give him? What would be the most effective one to give him?
Ooh.
I was having a conversation with Stu earlier about what he's going to choose and what I'm going to choose. I think it's going to be a really fun thing. Yeah. I think that's the end of the things that I normally plug, and I'm doing this a little out of order. Grayson.
Yes.
Would you like to give me a brand new Patreon tier?
I would love nothing more.
Wow, nothing more.
It's what my life has come to. For the low price of $27.13, you will provide your patrons, you Tomahawk, will provide your patrons with one of those fun little Build-A-Bear hearts that you can put noises in. But all it will just be a quiet whisper of, open the door. The pizza's here.
And I just want to make this clear. It's not a recording. And while I'm sewing each one, I'm going to whisper into each one. Get the pizza. Get the door. You won't be able to hear it once you get it. It's just going to be a heart with a whisper sewn inside. If the seams start to bust, that whisper is going to escape. So it's going to be very valuable.
I would pay $27.13 for that.
All right. Thank you so much again. I know I've thanked you a few times now, but so great. It's always so fun to talk with you. I love it. Utter delight to be here. Yes. Terrific. A+. I hope this turns out good. I did too. You know what? It's going to be great because you produced it. Let's go. Hey, don't patronize me. Unless it's on Patreon, which, by the way, if you're a new person, so if you're a new listener or a new viewer, I don't have a Patreon. Look at my subscriber count. It would just make me sad setting it up. Okay. But yeah, like this video, subscribe, please. I'd appreciate it. I've had this same YouTube channel for over 4 years now, and I have fewer than 50 subscribers. And that hurts my feelings a little bit because I put a lot of effort into some of these videos. But hey, no worries. I do it because it's fun. Let's see. I think that's it. Well, actually, you know what? No, remember, write in. Send me an email at thesillycast@gmail.com or any of the other social media things I said before. I'm doing. I like the little shuffle here. This is my little shoulder thing that I do at the end of every episode. You haven't been able to see it until now, and it may never happen again, but I'm going to make it canon that I did this in all of the previous episodes. Okay, cool. Thanks. Bye. Bye.